If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring some groundbreaking news from the world of medical science, specifically how artificial intelligence is reshaping vaccine development, drawing insights from an article in The Conversation titled, "The World's First AI-Designed Vaccine Just Passed Its First Human Test. Here's why that matters." What really jumped out at me, right at the top, is this. For the first time ever, a vaccine whose active ingredient was designed completely by computer underwent human clinical trials involving 39 healthy volunteers, and it was found to be safe. That's a huge step. So let's unpack what makes this a genuine first. You see, when we talk about AI in vaccine development, it's easy to assume that AI has been involved in some way or another in recent years. And you'd be right. AI has played a part in logistics, in analysing data, even in speeding up drug discovery in various stages. But what makes this particular achievement by the University of Cambridge and their spin-out DIOSynVax or DVX Limited so significant is that the central component of the vaccine, the part that actually teaches your immune system what to attack, what scientists call the antigen, was conceived by machine learning. It wasn't copied from an existing virus, it was designed from scratch by an algorithm. This isn't just tweaking an existing process, it's AI vaccine design at a foundational level. For me, this really speaks to the idea of enhancement, not replacement. AI isn't replacing the brilliant human scientists. It's augmenting their most complex creative processes. It's an evolution, not a revolution, but a profoundly powerful one for how we approach some of our biggest health challenges. The underlying problem this AI is trying to solve is a familiar one, especially after the last few years. The article explains that for decades, vaccine science has been caught in this frustrating loop. A virus emerges, we study it, we build a vaccine to target that specific threat, but then, almost inevitably, the virus mutates. That vaccine loses some of its effectiveness, and the chase begins again. Think about the annual flu shot or the repeated updates to COVID vaccines since 2021. The Cambridge team's scientific lead, Professor Jonathan Heaney, put it so well. He described it like a dog constantly chasing its tail. We're always reacting, always trying to catch up to the latest variant. This new approach to AI in vaccine development isn't about doing what we do better. It's about asking a bigger question. Can we get ahead of the curve? Can we design protection for threats that haven't even fully emerged yet? This really anchors to my philosophy of starting with educational purpose, not technological capability. Their purpose was to break this reactive cycle, and only then did they turn to the how. Artificial intelligence. Now, this is where the AI really shines, and it's a crucial distinction for us in education. The team didn't just ask an AI to invent a vaccine. Instead, they fed it an absolutely enormous library of genetic data. We're talking about all the available genetic sequence data for SARS-CoV coronaviruses from surveillance programs around the world. The AI's job wasn't to create something entirely new in the void. It was to find the parts of these viruses that almost never change. Across the whole SARS-CoV coronavirus family, the one that includes SARS and COVID-19, and a whole host of animal coronaviruses, evolution has left certain structural features largely untouched. So the AI analysed thousands of related viruses, pinpointing those stable, conserved features. And here's the radical part. By targeting those unchanging elements, they could, in theory, create a vaccine that works against the entire family, not just a single strain. The researchers then used machine learning to design what they call a super antigen that contains antigen features common to this whole group of viruses, including ones that haven't emerged yet. It's designed to prime the immune system against viruses that don't even exist in humans right now. If you're finding these connections between cutting-edge AI research and the classroom thought-provoking, please do follow and subscribe for more insights on AI in education. This idea of AI identifying the unchanging core, the foundational principles within a complex and ever-evolving domain, has incredible implications for how we think about curriculum and learning. In education, we often feel like we're chasing the tail of the latest trends, the newest tech tools, or the constantly updated curriculum standards. We're trying to keep up with skills that become obsolete almost as soon as we teach them. But what if we could use AI to help us identify the unchanging core of what it means to be an educated human in the 21st century? Imagine a department head tasked with revamping a Year 8 geography curriculum. Instead of just adding in the latest climate change statistics, which are vital of course but constantly updating, what if AI could help them analyse vast amounts of data, maybe historical curriculum documents, research on cognitive development, future skills reports, to pinpoint the truly foundational geographical concepts, the deep spatial reasoning skills, or the critical human-environment interaction principles that remain constant regardless of specific events. This would be teaching students not to outsmart machines, but to outthink them, focusing on robust, transferable understanding. AI is helping us hold the complexity of all that data, so we, the educators, have capacity for creativity in how we teach those timeless principles. It allows us to design learning that cannot be faked because it demands depth, care, and imagination, rather than just rote memorization of transient facts. We outsource our doing, the data crunching, the pattern finding, not our thinking, our judgment about what truly matters. Beyond the core AI design, the actual vaccine itself has some interesting practical implications. For one, it uses DNA rather than mRNA. This is a big deal because DNA vaccines are generally more stable, making them much easier to store and transport. That kind of stability matters enormously in lower income countries, where the refrigerated cold chain infrastructure required for mRNA vaccines is often simply unavailable. Secondly, this trial administered the vaccine not with a traditional needle, but with a microfluid jet. Imagine a high-pressure stream of liquid pushing the vaccine through the skin. The University of Cambridge team notes this could make vaccination faster and much easier to carry out on a large scale, especially in places where trained staff handling needles is a challenge. For educators, this resonates deeply with the principle of equity. How do we ensure that our educational innovations are not just for the well-resourced schools, but are built with accessibility as a foundation, not an afterthought? Whether it's the stability of our digital platforms or the ease of delivery for intervention programs, these design choices matter for serving the middle 80%, ensuring everyone has access. Now, of course, this is just a first step, and the researchers, quite rightly, are being appropriately cautious. The headline findings were encouraging. The vaccine triggered immune responses in the volunteers, not only to SARS-CoV-2 and SARS, but also to related bat viruses that could potentially jump to humans. This means that the central promise, broad cross-family protection from a single shot, actually showed up in human blood, which is a huge milestone beyond just computer models or animal studies. And this is important, this was a phase 1 trial designed primarily to test safety. That's what the Journal of Infection publication focused on. The immune responses were described as modest, and we don't know how long the protection lasts or if boosters will be needed. Professor Saul Faust of the University of Southampton, who was the chief investigator for the trial, and Professor Marion Knight of the NIHR, both highlighted these points. Crucially, a phase 1 trial can't tell you if a vaccine actually prevents disease in the real world. That's for larger phase 2 studies to determine. This underscores my point about human in the loop. The AI provided a brilliant draft, a starting point, but the rigorous, careful work of human judgment and empirical testing is absolutely essential to validate and refine it. The bigger picture here is truly exciting. If this technology holds up through later trials, the implications stretch far beyond just coronaviruses. The same AI-driven method, using AI to find the unchanging core of a viral family, could, in principle, be applied to other rapidly mutating threats. The Cambridge team is already looking at the Ebola family, and DIOSynVax has other candidates in its pipeline for seasonal flu and hemorrhagic fever viruses. As Professor Faust eloquently put it, our current reactive system struggles to keep pace, and this new class of AI-designed vaccine is future-proofed. Imagine the millions of lives that could be saved, the lockdowns avoided, the economies preserved, if we could get ahead of the next pandemic. Professor Heaney really summarized the entire shift in a single powerful sentence. We've converted vaccine development from being reactive to being future-proof. This is a profound shift in posture, from constantly reacting to anticipating, driven by the power of AI to identify deep, stable patterns. It's worth holding two thoughts at once, isn't it? This is a real scientific first, validated in human beings, published in a peer-reviewed journal. It's not a fantasy from a press release. At the same time, the road from a 39-person safety study to a deployable, life-saving vaccine is long. Modest immune response, unknown durability, and the need for far larger trials aren't footnotes. They are the substance of the work still to come. But what this week genuinely demonstrated is that an AI can be trusted to design the working heart of a vaccine, and that the result is safe enough to put into people. For a field that has spent 100 years chasing viruses after the fact, the idea of building protection against threats that have not yet emerged represents a profound change in posture. In education, just like in vaccine science, the real breakthrough comes when we use AI not to simply do what we've always done, but to profoundly rethink what's possible, moving from reacting to problems to proactively designing for a better future. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.